My name is Michael Amoruso, an elder law and special needs attorney with Amoruso and Amoruso in Rybrook, New York, which services clients in New York, Connecticut, and Massachusetts. You know, oftentimes life changes on us, and sometimes those changes involve a change of environment, whether that be from a home to a condo to an apartment. You know, aging is very interesting. It has different effects on all of us, but I like to look at it as you have different options to enhance your quality of life. So today on this show, I want to introduce you to another assisted living. It's called the Bristal Assisted Living. And I want you to understand a little bit about their community. So I brought onto the show Sloane Limoncelli, who is the Regional Director of Sales at the Bristal Assisted Living. So Sloane, welcome to our show.
Thank you, Michael, and I certainly appreciate the opportunity to speak with you and your fan base. So thank you.
I'm sure they're going to really enjoy this show quite a bit. So why don't we just jump right in and explain to the audience, you know, what is the Bristal Assisted Living? Where is it located? So give them a geographic sense.
Absolutely. The Bristal Assisted Living is operated and managed by Ultimate Care Management Group. The Bristal, 305 West End, and Encore Senior Living are all part of our communities. The Bristal itself has been an operator in New York and New Jersey for over 20 years now. We currently operate 26 communities encompassing assisted living, independent living, and memory care.
I did not realize it was that large.
We are, and what's also really nice about it is that it's a family-owned business. So there's a real connection with our residents. You truly become part of an extended family when you're living at any of the Bristal properties.
So if you're part of this extended family, I'm sure you have this personalized approach to caring for folks there at the Bristal. Can you talk about that?
Certainly. You know, today, Michael, assisted living, memory care living, independent living in communities has just evolved tremendously. And a personalized approach which gives a resident an opportunity to be as independent as possible, but create a personalized safety net if they were to have a change in health. They have that right outside their door. And customizing care, customizing cognitive connection, and customizing a true opportunity to not just live, but really enjoy life with customized programming and activities is what we're really aiming to deliver every day to every resident that lives with us.
Now, as you know, the audience out there, they have a lot of options nowadays. There are many different assisted living facilities out there. And facilities is probably the wrong word to use here. It's home environments. So in your opinion, what separates the Bristal from all the others that are available?
I'd say you really feel that family connection and that real buy-in to who's living with us. It's a reflection on the family at Bristal. I think what I've noticed with the company, Michael, is a tremendous dedication to really listening to what our residents and their families are looking for, not just with physical or medical care, which is a component of what we offer, but also really customizing programming, offering excursions to museums, inviting in authors for lectures and conversation. It's a fluid opportunity where we're continuously looking at, you know, gee, who's living here? And what did you used to do that you can't do anymore or haven't been able to do anymore that brings you back to life? You know, I think COVID really showed all of us what isolation and loneliness can do to someone physically and cognitively. So a response to that with the Bristal is let's really make sure we're engaging with residents. We're offering activities that they want, that they've asked for. So our whole discovery process, our whole assessment process incorporates that as well. Tell me, what do you love to do? What did you used to do? Where did you go to school? Where did you grow up? How do you like to engage with people?
Now, that's something that's very interesting to myself as well as the audience, I'm sure, is that bridge that you're starting to build between their community residents, their home of maybe 50 years, and the Bristol. So how does that dialogue begin that you just started?
Certainly we recognize can be a new chapter for someone. And there's definitely a lot of misconceptions out there about what assisted living really is. There's some negative connotations. Is it very hospital-like? Is it very skilled nursing-like? And there's certainly needs for both of those. But that's not what assisted living is today. It's evolved into an opportunity to really enjoy living. You are going to be cared for if you need a physical assistance, if you need medical assistance, but even just as importantly, the support around cognitive connection, making friends with people that have similar backgrounds and interests to you, not just doing any activity, but taking an art class if that's really of interest, yoga, exercise programming so that you're physically staying fit, even fine dining, an opportunity to have restaurant-style dining, lots of choices, nutritional, well-balanced food so you can stay healthy and engaged. And that's what we see. Residents, as they're living with us, are really responding to those and in many cases living their best lives.
Sounds to me like you're kind of combining the care community and resort living here. So why don't you explain to the audience, what they're giving up by leaving their home and what they're gaining by coming into the Bristol?
Absolutely. I love that you use the word resort-like, and that is a good depiction. I'll take you through a day where many of the residents moving in have been living by themselves in either their very large homes they've been in for a long time, feeling a little isolated and perhaps not doing all the things they used to do. Moving into a community like the Bristol allows you to get up in the morning in your own private apartment at whatever time you like to get up. And then you'll have a calendar of events that you can pick and choose from. Morning yoga, a lecture about something trending, whether it's politics or something else going on, good, energized conversation over breakfast with residents that are similar to yourself, that have similar interests. You may then take in an afternoon movie, take in a trip to a museum. In our Manhattan properties, residents are going to the theater in Westchester as well, taking an art class, doing some gardening, playing canasta, mahjong, all things that are important in brain cognition and connecting. And the fine dining component is also just dining with someone and not by yourself, having some meaningful conversations, enjoying good food.
Not worrying about preparing your own food.
Absolutely. Preparing your own food, doing your laundry, doing all of your housekeeping, worrying about the maintenance of your home, the lawn, snow removal. Many times when residents are moving in, they've been in their homes 50, 60 years, and things are starting to need attention. And that can be overwhelming. I have that similar experience with my own parents. And it's a great time to take a look and say, gee, maybe life could be a little easier. I could engage a little more and not have the weight and worry of maintaining a home. That carefree living is certainly, I think, an attraction to many people that come by to take a tour.
For those of us that have been lucky enough to go to college or even go on a cruise, it sounds like enjoying the college experience of all these activities without worrying about the studying.
That's a good way to put it. That is an interesting way to put it.
You've got all the clubs you can join or conversations you can get involved with or trips you can go on. Mm-hmm. So it sounds like there's culture, there's community. And why don't you just explain before we take our commercial break what the environment of the apartment looks like?
Absolutely. I mean, there's a whole range of options from studios, 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom apartments. And what you'll notice when you're looking at a Bristol is the expansive common spaces. so that if you're entertaining, there's private dining rooms. If you're someone that loves to entertain for dinner and have your friends over, family, you have that opportunity to do it in the private dining rooms. There's outdoor terraces, gardens, bocce courts, outdoor pools. It is very hotel-like with a lot of amenities to keep you engaged.
Outstanding. So obviously, we all have to pay to go on vacation. How does it work with the Bristal?
With assisted living, you can utilize long-term care insurance policies to pay for assisted living and memory care, and you can private pay. We do have communities that recognize a Medicaid spend down as well. That information across all of our communities is available on their websites, where you can see the starting prices and what's available as far as Medicaid communities are concerned.
Why don't you give the audience the website?
www.thebristal.com.
And spell the Bristal for them.
B as in boy, Ristal.
Excellent. And Sloane, if anyone has questions, wants to learn more about the Bristal, maybe you can dive deeper into what you're discussing, who should they call or email? What's their next step?
Toni Thorne in this area is our Director of Business Development. Her email is tthorne, THORNE, at thebristal.com.
Outstanding. And as a matter of fact, after our commercial break, we're going to have Toni on the show. So you get to hear from Toni directly on some of the experiences that she has to maybe help you start the dialogue with your loved one or even yourself as to, is the Bristal the next right choice for you? If you missed any part of this broadcast, just log on to our website at eldercareontheair.com. That's eldercareontheair.com. Welcome back to Elder Care on the Air. I'm Michael Amoruso, and again, I'm so happy that you've joined me this early Sunday morning. Today we're talking about that transition from maybe that home of 40, 50, 60 years to something else. And that something else may be a wonderful community called assisted living. And we're thrilled to have here today the Bristal Assisted Living to talk about what it's like in their environments and how that can possibly benefit all of you or be attractive to you. If you've missed any part of this episode, just log on to our website after this broadcast at eldercareontheair.com. That's eldercareontheair.com, and you'll see the Bristal show there. Just download it and listen to it over and over again and really get to learn what we're talking about and what this experience of being at the Bristal could be like. Now, as right before our commercial break, we were talking with Sloane, and Sloane introduced Toni Thorne. Now, Toni is here to really talk to you all about how to start that dialogue, whether it be with yourself or with a loved one who you think maybe this next stage or opportunity in their life could be something worthwhile to take a look at. Now, Toni, you are the Director of Business Development, right, at the Bristal Assisted Living, and I just want to welcome you to our show. Thanks for taking the time to come here.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having us. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Now, throughout the year, there are certain times where we probably get together with our loved ones, whether they be through one of the many holidays that we experience throughout the year or whether it's a weekly visit or a monthly visit. What are some of the things that you suggest that a loved one takes notice of?
So there's lots of opportunities to look for clues or something that there's a change in the environment that's going on. Little subtle hints that maybe we need to look a little bit deeper. Are mom or dad's medications stacking up? Are we noticing mail laying around that's unopened? Is their hygiene suffering a little bit of confusion or abnormal behaviors? Different things like that to really kind of key in on that there may be a change going on with them.
And if they notice a change going on, any thoughts on maybe how a dialogue can be started with somebody to maybe embrace a new future?
So, I think that an open dialogue is an important one and an ongoing conversation with empathy that will empower your loved one to still be in charge of making their own decisions and, giving them something to look forward to. So, definitely a positive outlook and being informed. They're all key in really embracing this new outlook on life.
And I'm sure it's could be a tough conversation, right? This person may have been living there. They may have just lost a spouse, or they've been living alone in this environment which they call home. Any tips on maybe how to empower the loved ones to invite that word home to mean something else to that individual?
So, home is not four walls. Home is where your heart is. And I think it's also living with anticipation and looking forward to something, when making this decision and looking forward into what's to come on this next chapter of your life, talking about things like friendship and what was meaningful in previous chapters, incorporating that into the upcoming days and new friendships, new bonds, extending that family out to caregivers and support systems that this community lifestyle offers for these individuals.
And is there a stigma that you often have to overcome when you notice this dialogue is beginning out there with a family or an individual? And how do you help them overcome that stigma?
I don't know if it's necessarily a stigma, but maybe a feeling of abandonment, or for children, it's this guilt that they can't provide the care that, that they'd like to. When we're overcoming that and we're talking through those things, the one thing that Bristal does is they meet people where they are and help them and bring that quality of life back. It's not the end. That's a big stigma, that this is the end and we're giving up so much. But I think changing that outlook and looking at what we're going to gain from this is so much more, and adding value and quality and vigor back into our lives.
So basically you're helping enhance that family dynamic that was there.
Absolutely. Taking away that burden or guilt of being a caregiver and allowing people to be children again, and be that daughter or that son and have that mom or dad and really enjoy their time together instead of feeling all these negative emotions that come through caregiving and all this responsibility. These burdens are lifted.
Any thoughts? You mentioned that a loved one may feel guilty or shameful that they're even starting this dialogue with somebody. Any sort of suggestions for them to find openings to begin this discussion?
I think, paying attention to those observations we mentioned earlier, looking for those clues and cues, and talking with your loved one empathetically, perhaps saying, Mom, I noticed you haven't opened any of these bills in the last couple of months. What is going on? Do you need my help? Instead of guilting or making them feel shameful for not doing it, asking them how you can help and empowering them to ask for the help that they need to navigate these difficult circumstances.
Yeah, and I guess also if that child is hearing, and I use the term child loosely because a child could be 70 years old that I'm talking about, right? Yeah. So I guess as they're talking with their loved one, if they're hearing more need for help or assistance, or can you get me that over there, or can you open up, it's a whole stack of mail that I haven't had a chance to look at yet, and the child notices that, well, it's not just a stack of mail, it could be a whole basket full of mail that hasn't been opened yet. Now, that's also not the time to get upset or annoyed to say, why haven't you opened this? Mm-hmm. That's the time to say, all right, let's roll up our sleeves. And as you're doing it, that may be an opportunity to start saying, wow, there's so much going on in this household. We have so many memories. Boy, life could be a lot easier. And you could just enjoy things more without having to worry about this stuff. Mm-hmm. When someone comes to the Bristal to see it for the first time, what do you notice?
Well, I mean, it depends on the individual and where they're at in their journey or being open to it and things like that. But a lot of times I see, maybe initially there's some fear coming along with it. But, as they tour the community and they meet people that live there, they recognize that there's this freedom that comes with letting go of some of these burdens and responsibilities that are weighing them down at home. They see that it can be fun and uplifting. The communities are very lively with different programming that is individualized to each person, and there's a strong sense of community. And I think as the visit progresses and they get to meet more people, maybe some familiar faces, their neighbors, their friends, they start to relax. They become more, relieved and actually excited, right? So there's this excitement that comes after this visit where there's something to look forward to. And it's like a weight has been lifted off of their shoulders, and they're not helpless or hopeless. There are options to enhance their days and make their life meaningful again.
For those individuals that may be on the fence as to whether they want to take this next step in the journey of their life, is there an opportunity to sort of try before you decide?
Sure. So there's definitely short-term stays and respite stays where, the community has made it so simple. They just need to bring their suitcase. Just bring your clothes. You come. It's like a vacation to try it out and see if you really like it. And 9 times out of 10, people really love it and it's for them and they never leave. So, I would recommend that if there's a little apprehension on trying this. It is a huge decision to make.
Now, Toni, you've been in the industry for many years. In your opinion, how does the Bristal do it differently than others that you know out there?
So the Bristal really embraces the individual as a person and as a whole. They're trying to add in and not take away from who you are, your independence, your likes, your dislikes. The communities are like a resort. They have so many different amenities. They have trips that go out to all different places, museums, lectures. They're also part of a bigger community, embracing community service projects, giving back. It's just a whole different approach than other assisted livings in the industry.
Excellent. Now, Toni, how can they get in touch with you or the appropriate person there at the Bristal?
So obviously you can always log on to the website, www.thebristal.com, and that's BRISTAL, or you can email me direct at tthorne, THORNE, at thebristal, BRISTAL.com.
Well, Toni, thank you so much for coming on our show. Please thank Sloane for me as well.
Yeah.
It's been a true pleasure to get to know what your communities are like, and I'm sure our audience will be reaching out to you.
Thank you.
Experience
Thank
this
you.
some more. And for those of you that may be starting that change in your life where a little apprehensive of what the next step would be, maybe that house is just starting to get away from you a little bit. A place like the Bristal is not a bad place to go see. Check it out. See if that community is what you're missing in your life, what you're willing to embrace for the next stage of your life. And I'm sure, just as you may have told your own kids when they went off to college, you're going to meet new people, have new experiences, and your life will be further enriched. I look forward to speaking to you all next week. Thank you for joining us. Be safe and be well.